And we are rolling on October 4th here at UCLA, where the sunshine is shining. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles. We're about to hear from Alexander, who's going to tell us about his experiment with respect.
Yeah. So, hi, my name's Alex.
Hi, Alex.
And so after last week's lecture, last week's class, I was really intrigued to do this experiment myself because I've always tried to, for the past 2 years, I've tried to be a more outgoing, a more respectful person. I thought this would be a good way to gauge my progress so far. So I went around repeating the silent mantra, I respect you, and non-verbally communicating respect. And I wanted to highlight a few different specific events from opposite spectrums, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So starting out with the good, I went to a Japanese Student Association barbecue on Saturday. I'm half Japanese, by the way, and I didn't know anybody there, but I was able to communicate respect non-verbally. And one specific time, there were two guys coming up, and I just looked at them, nodded, smiled, communicated respect non-verbally, and they decided to come introduce themselves, and we actually became pretty good friends. We took a lift back to the campus after the barbecue, and they ended up introducing me to 10, 15 other people. So I met a lot of people, like, just from communicating respect, which I thought was pretty cool. And then moving on to the bad, I was trying to communicate respect in places that I don't usually feel respect being communicated to me. And one of those places is at the game, because everyone seems always very angsty and like hyperactive. And so I tried to take the time to really communicate respect. And I feel like this was kind of a common theme with everyone, but like people were very hesitant, or they weren't used to getting respect or being communicated respect non-verbally. So I would pass by someone and they would look at me and I would try to smile and they would just look away or kind of rush off. Or I let someone through, pass me in line, and they just ran by without saying thank you or anything like that. And so moving on to the ugly, which also has to do with the game. No one on my floor wanted to go to the game on Saturday, and I was a bit bummed out. So I decided to take matters into my own hand, walk down to the Router bus line, and try to find a group that I could join. And there was one specific group that I tried to communicate respect non-verbally to, and they just shrugged me off. And so I decided to take it one step further, which was a bad idea, and walk up to them even more. And I like held up a peace sign. I was like, hey, about to say, hey, what's up? And one girl just looked at me and said, what do you want? And it really like hit me weird, and all of a sudden I stopped communicating respect. I just said, never mind, left. And from that specific experience, like I realized people aren't really used to getting respect, and sometimes it can be taken the wrong way, depending, and it also could have been that I was not communicating it the best way possible. But I realized that it's tough to communicate respect non-verbally. It's tough to be always respectful in every situation. In conclusion, I realized that my non-verbal and verbal respect and socialness and outgoingness are very different, and I think that everyone should focus more on being respectful in every situation, no matter, even if the other person is not respectful. Thank you.
Good, thank you. We'll start over here today.
Hi, I'm Stacy.
Hi,
Stacy. I really liked your speech. One thing I can think you can improve on is better transitions to make the flow of this speech a little bit better.
Good. Let me just comment before we go on to one more comment for you. So when you get to so that was the good, but besides the good, let me share with you the bad. Besides the good and the bad, there was also the ugly. And then you have kind of a running narrative of where you are in the speech, and it's a nice little smooth transition between sections. See? Your helpful comment, please.
Hi, my name is Anar. I really liked how your stories were connecting back to what your initial introduction was talking about, and how communicating non-verbally could be difficult sometimes.
Yeah. So he proved his thesis, huh? Yeah. Alex, liked your speech. You're a likable speaker. You did the assignment despite joining the class late. You picked it up and you understood it, and you got the idea of it nicely, especially the silent mantra part of it. So that was good. You prefaced where you were going with the good, the bad, the ugly. A little more emphasis with your voice will help that stand out. But that was, we knew what was going to happen. On the good, that turned out to be very good, didn't it? Because this works very well in these parties and social situations, because people perceive these nonverbal vibrations, or what I call telepathic communications between people when they're communicating pure respect toward other people. And so you made 2 friends and 15 other acquaintances, and that's a pretty good record for just communicating respect one time. So that was a good story. On the bad, I didn't quite know what the context wasn't exactly clear. Was this at a football game?
Yeah.
So you got there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you tried to. You were still saying the mantra, but you were also smiling and opening the doors and doing things for people. But you noticed at football games there was a sort of a different persona, different rah, rah, rah. Yeah. They shouldn't dissuade you from still repeating the mantra and trying to do it. I warned you that this would happen and be the case. This is similar to brew and walk.
Yeah.
People put on their earbuds and their phones and away they go. On the ugly, the girl pretty much blurted out, "What do you want?" That's what do you need? Ouch. That's pretty rude. And she sort of shut you down. And I guess it was obvious you were trying to horn in on their ride system. Is that the concept?
Well, I was just trying to get a group to go again.
I see, yeah. And that's when it's the hardest time to do it, but that's when you repeat the mantra the most and say, "I respect you," despite the fact that she just told you to buzz off, basically. What you learned, I thought, were thoughtful comments about how difficult it is to do sometimes, but I hope you'll continue to try to do it. Thank you, Alex. Okay, next. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, just take a step forward. Be more in the green box, but don't go in front of that green line. Okay. You're perfect. Good. Ashley stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi guys, I'm Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
So this past week I heard all of you guys speak, and so I took it upon myself to communicate respect non-verbally. And I found that respect isn't always given back, but respect shouldn't be given so that it can be given back. It should be more of something that you do because it's the humane thing to do and it feels good. So I had a few different experiences which all left me with different feelings. I had a good experience, a bad experience, and a pretty ugly experience which left me feeling a little sad. But they all still taught me an important experience and life lesson, which is respect should just be given because it's the right thing to do. So starting with the good experience, I knew that I would be going to an event and I'd see someone that really hurt me a past year ago. And I made the conscious decision to communicate respect non-verbally So when I got to the event, I saw this person that had really hurt me, and I said the silent mantra to myself, I respect you. And I looked at him, I waved, and I was cordial. And I guess the respectful energy that I gave off prompted him to come speak to me. And I spoke back. I didn't let the pain get over me and not speak back, because that would eventually lead to communicating disrespect, I felt like. And I would say this was my best experience, because I actually felt like I let some of that pain go, you know, from my spirit, off my shoulders. And I think it was just a good time to practice it just for myself, to give the respect and not so much get it back. So moving on to the bad experience, which was not as good as the first one. I work in UCLA parking, so I just thought I might as well practice with all my customers. So every time a car came up, I would silently say to myself, I respect you. I took a couple extra minutes to ask questions like, how's your day? How are you doing? Or at the end, I would say, do you need any help with anything else? And most customers are really nice, and they would ask questions back, and they would smile and kind of, you know, give me the same respect back, even though that's not what I was shooting for. But there's this one man who was just quick getting his change and didn't answer any questions, and I would say, well, how are you? And yeah, like he would kind of like just like blow me off. And he took his change back, and he said, just do your job, and sped off. So that was probably the bad experience, because it was almost like the energy that I had put out was just like blocked so instantly, and it was almost a bit embarrassing, even though it was just me and that customer. So that was the bad experience. And moving on to the ugly, I just respected people on campus more. Like I would try to hold doors more, wave, smile when I didn't have to. And I was by public affairs coming outside of class one day, and across the street I saw a man. He dropped all of the things out of his bag, so I crossed the street. I tried to bend down and help him pick his things up, and he kind of shifted his energy in front of me, kind of like, you know, like, I don't need your help. But I did manage to pick up a planner, and before I could give it back, he said, just stay in a woman's place, and he took the planner back. And I said, okay, well, have a good day. And that was probably the ugliest experience, but I still managed to be respectful, even though the respect wasn't given back instantly. But from that experience, I think in that moment is when I learned respect isn't always going to be given back when you give it, but it's still the right thing to do. It just felt good to help a person, even though he was reluctant to take my help. So yeah, through all these experiences, I learned a lot. I had a good experience, a bad experience, and an ugly experience, but I think they all shaped an important life lesson to give respect, even though it won't always be given back.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay. What did you like?
Me? Hi, I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex.
I liked, it was very like, it was just good. It was like smooth, like it all flowed really well. And I liked all three of the experiences were very like vivid, and you told each one very like well, so you like understood what was happening in each event.
Thank you. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Magali. I really liked your
Hi,
speech. I
Magali.
thought I agree exactly with what he said. I think maybe I would just say your hands, because other than that, it was really good. You were very clear on what story you were going into, and then you tied it all together to your introduction.
Okay. Actually, I really liked your speech. I really liked the attitude you brought to it, and I like the way you picked it up just from not understanding what was going on. But we did an exercise in class where we went from the verbal to the nonverbal, and we started with saying the expression. Do you ever hear the expression, mean what you say and say what you mean? And there's a certain intensity when your mother or father gives a command to you and they really mean what they say. You can tell they mean it. And so we were trying for that, only that same intensity with the nonverbals. Yeah. So I think you got it. You got it very nicely. You gave us a good preview. And I like the way that you talk about this not as a something to do so you get something back, but because it's the right thing to do. Your first story of meeting an ex, I'm assuming boyfriend, who hurt you, and you, despite that, were cordial and talked to him and just sort of let it go. And forgiving is a very difficult thing to do, but it only hurts us to carry a lot of negative energy around, which I'm sure you know. So I'm glad you wrote this line, I lifted the pain off my hearts and spirits, and that's a nice feeling, isn't it, to let that go. And I'm glad that came with this. On the bad, I think your circumstances at the parking service was mostly favorable, except for one man. Quit gabbing and do your job, He wants a machine there, really. And there's one in every crowd, and I warned you, or at least I warned the class, that you'll be ignored, or there'll be somebody that will not want this. And that shouldn't stop us from doing it, and at least saying the mantra. On the ugly, gosh, a woman's place, where does that come from? Seems like so far away and so long ago that men say that, but maybe not. A man just said it to you. But still, at least on this campus, we assume that people are sort of enlightened and that they wouldn't be so nasty and rebuff you. And I think you did the right thing in trying to be helpful and help him pick up his planner and the stuff he dropped. Stay in your place. Wow. Ouch. But that probably hurt. But that's when you repeat the mantra, and that's when you say, I respect you. And, someday he'll become enlightened or something. I don't know. Your summary of what you learned was good. It could have been a little bit longer. And your summary conclusion and your tie back to your beginning was good. So you did an excellent job. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, I've got to adjust the camera for you. You're a little taller than Ashley. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, a knot stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, my name's Anant, and
Hi, Anant.
I thought communicating could just be respect, whether it's verbal or nonverbal. And then I took the approach of, when I first got this prompt, I was like, well, sign language, that's kind of, in and of its way, nonverbal communication. And then I thought middle finger or something like that. But then I thought to myself, well, that's not really respect. That's not really something I'd get a positive feedback with. And then I thought, there's also other ways, just like that, to actually show respect nonverbally. And a quote by Harvey Walter actually hit me. He said, you can tell a lot by someone's body language. And then I realized, what if I was in the other person's perspective? What if I was in the other person's perspective and he was the one receiving nonverbal respect? And if someone smiled at me, I'd smile back. I'd maybe even start a conversation with that person. And then I kind of made a hypothesis. If someone showed me respect, what would I do? I kind of show respect back. So then in that sense, nonverbal communication through respect can lead to something positive. And with that hypothesis, I want to share my good, bad, and even ugly experiences. So my good. I was walking to class on the first day of school, and I walk into the building and I open the door for someone, and he walks in and says, "Thank you, I appreciate it." And I say, "No problem." And we walk a couple minutes towards our class. Once we get into the front of our class, I realize that this person who I just opened the door for has the same class as me. And he looks back and starts communicating with me. And after that, we communicate, we talk. We're there 15 minutes early, and we become friends. And in a class full of unknown faces, I made a friend just by opening this door for him at the beginning of the day. And that for me was not just a good experience, but an amazing one. Because with my gesture, my kind gesture of opening the door, we became friends, and now we were in a class together. And then came my not so good, kind of my bad experience. I was in a class where my friend was giving a speech, and he started talking about disparities in the Indian culture. And something that he said kind of hit me, and I applauded because it hit me so hard, and it was something like amazing that he said. But everybody around me, they looked at me kind of confused. They were like, "Why are you showing disrespect by applauding him?" They thought I was kind of sarcastic. And after that, I thought to myself, was I actually being disrespectful? I thought I was actually being respectful to him and applauding him because of what he was saying about the culture that we connected at. And then it was kind of the fact that the people around me weren't of the same culture, and they didn't realize that I was applauding him for something he said about our culture and not just showing like sarcasm or showing like hate towards him. And I realized that people are so quick to judge you for something, and they don't know the full context of it, and that can lead to miscommunication, even though you yourself are putting out respect non-verbally. And then led to the very ugly experience. I was walking back to my dorm, and I see two people, a girl and a guy. I didn't know if they were a couple or not. The girl smiles at me, I smile back. But the guy next to her kind of looks at me and is like, "What are you doing?" Like, kind of like ugly kind of face like that. And then I keep walking past him, and then the guy walks back to me and says, "What were you doing? Like, why are you flirting at my girl?" And me, personally, I was just like, if you're going to smile at me, I'm going to smile back to you. Like, that's just the way I am. And then we kind of argued for a couple minutes, and the end of the story was that I was showing respect because she showed respect to me. And that was my way of non-verbally communicating respect. And the guy didn't really get it, and then I came back to the same conclusion that people are quick to judge you, and that's what leads to miscommunication. And in conclusion, I realized that my hypothesis was kind of wrong. It was disapproved. My hypothesis was that if you communicate respect non-verbally, then you'll get kind of a positive outcome out of it. But my last two scenarios were not really positive. And I thought that when I was not consciously thinking about respect or non-verbally respecting someone, it was kind of in my head like, oh yeah, it's going to turn out positive, it's going to turn out well. And then when I consciously made the effort to non-verbally communicate respect towards someone, it was negative. And in the end, I realized that it's how you show your respect to someone and not really what they show back to you, because in the end, if you show respect, even if it's not in the moment, you'll get it in return. And that's my
Thank you. Stay up there for your feedback. Anand. So we're here. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
And I liked how with your speech I felt like there was a lot of cognitive process behind it. You weren't just like, okay, this happened and whatever. I feel like you really thought about the experiences that you had and reflected on how they connected to your hypothesis and then, once again, your conclusion. I just thought it was really well thought out and you did a lot of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Hannah. Improvement?
Hi, my name's Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
And like she said, I really liked your speech. It really felt sincere. The only thing I would say is maybe a little louder of a voice, maybe a little more steady.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you want to try to fill the room with your energy, and if you can, and vary your voice.
Yeah. I think it's sort of because I'm sick, but I'm not giving that as an excuse for it.
Yeah, we never apologize.
Yeah.
We never give excuses. We never say, "Oh, I'm sick," because it lowers your audience's expectations. Yeah. We don't whine. We just man up and do the speech. Okay. Let me talk about your speech, Anand, and give you some feedback. Yes, I agree that you put a lot of thought into this, so that was apparent, and I appreciate that. Tell us who Harvey Wolter is when you cite somebody. Is this a communication scholar? Is this somebody I found on the internet? Is this my brother? Is this my Uncle Harvey? You know, we don't know.
Yeah.
So give your citations qualifications, so that they mean something more. But it was a good quote, and what we want to be in the habit of doing is tying back to the intro. So you started with this wonderful quote. You can tell a lot by someone's body language. So I would have gone back to that quote and tied it somehow into my conclusion. Okay. Now on your thesis preview, that was well done. Just a little more vocal oomph on it. The good, the bad, the ugly. The good. I'm assuming we're repeating the mantra, I respect you, as you walk around over and over again. The gentleman, and that caused you to open the door. The gentleman liked it and said thank you, and then you became quick friends, and you were pleased by that, and that was a positive outcome to communicating respect, right? Yeah. On the bad, one thing you have to remember, and if you forget nothing else, remember that I said this. Meaning is in the receiver. What you intended is irrelevant. Meaning is in the receiver. And so they hear you clap. You didn't mean to be offensive, but because in their culture or how they interpret it or whatever, they perceive it to be rude. That's the meaning they give it. And you can rail against that day and night, but that's how the world works.
Yeah.
Meaning is in the receiver. People give meaning to what they perceive. Now, what I would say is you could still have expressed respect to the speaker non-verbally without clapping, and perhaps had the same effect and not have stood out, right? And on the ugly, my gosh, are we still living in a day where a woman is a possession of a man and she's not allowed to smile at another human being? It sounds like it. Was she embarrassed by this, or did she walk on, or was she stood there
She
and
held him and tried not. He didn't want the guy to come back and talk to me, but he did.
But he was being alpha male one, and you know, wanted to let you know that was unsatisfactory.
Yeah.
I've had this reported a lot, and I must tell you that you can avoid this by making a quick, when you see a couple, just do a quick glance at both people, and I respect you, and look away if you don't want to have trouble. Many men misinterpret women giving respect. Oh, she wants me, and that's another unfortunate outgrowth of this I've had with this experiment. So I'm sorry that this happened, but I think that you were communicating respect, and I hope that that you continued to communicate respect while he was telling you to leave his girlfriend alone and don't smile at her. Yikes. Okay, and what I learned was well spoken and well thought out. So you did a nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it on respect? Okay, give yourself a nice round of applause. Good. Okay, before we, let's see, should I see? Yeah. Do we have, I wanted to show, I need to make a couple of announcements, so note this on the syllabus. I want you to, we have coming up, does anybody need a copy of the syllabus? Everyone have a copy?
Here.
Good, Thank you. You need a copy, or this is an extra?
Oh no, that's mine, but.
Oh, no, I have it. I have it. I just meant if someone didn't bring it to class with them. What I would like you to watch is for the TED Talk that's coming up on our workshop on film for Thursday. Instead of watching Jihan Nujaim on Global Day in Film, I want you to write in Brian, B-R-I-A-N, Boxer, Walkler. W-A-C-H-L-E-R. Brian Boxer Walkler on YouTube. Okay, so did everyone get that? And in a moment, I'll pull up the exact title of his lecture. It's on, this is a student here in 103 that went on to medical school and does eye surgery. So if you find Brian Boxer Walkler, it's his TED Talk. So there's about 4 or 5 of his presentations on YouTube. We want the TED Talk. Okay? Okay, well, I'm waiting for the, I guess it booted. Okay, and the title of his TED Talk is Fight for Sight. Fight for Sight. And it's the second thing that comes up when you type in his name on the YouTube search engine. Okay? Fight for Sight. Yes, please.
So just to clarify, before Thursday, we need to watch TED Talk 1 and Brian Boxer Walker.
No, we're substituting TED Talk 1 for
Oh, okay. So just
Friday.
this.
Yeah,
Just
sorry, I
Fight
didn't
for
make
Sight.
that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
I just have a question about the midterm. It says here chapters 1 through 8. Is that the textbook or the sticky?
Zarefsky. That's
Okay.
Zarefsky.
Okay.
Okay, it's time to do some introductions. Do we have volunteers? No volunteers? Okay, great. Thank you.
We both go up?
You both go up to the front, yes.
And this is also my evaluation from the last one.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
You going first, Jordan?
Sure. Do you want to go first? No.
Okay. Let me get you in focus. I think maybe it's cool enough we can shut that front door and leave the back door open. Be quieter.
Do I stand here or do I just sit in my
We
seat?
stand there, yeah, so we want to put a face to all these facts and stories we're going to hear about you.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope. Okay, don't come in front of the green line. Stick one step that way. Yes. Jordan, right?
Yes.
Jordan stands before you, managing attention, communicating, respecting it, saying, I really respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
So I believe the best way to achieve a goal is to set a goal. So I'm going to set a goal for myself and one for all of you. My goal for myself is to accurately portray the amazing heart that my study buddy has. And my goal for all of you is to feel inspired by her story and relate it to your own life. Today I'm really excited to introduce you to my new study buddy, Leslie. I'll be telling you about her past growing up in South Central LA, how she defines herself in her present here at UCLA, and her future endeavors. First, I'm going to tell you about Leslie's past, which is really important to how she defines herself and sees herself today. Leslie grew up raised by her parents who are from Salvador. She also has an older brother who's 6 years older than her. She told me about how close they were, but I had the pleasure of witnessing this firsthand because he actually called her while we were working on this assignment together. And I could tell by the way that they interacted with each other and how caught up he was on her life, he even knew we were doing this project, that they were actually very close siblings, and it reminded me a lot about how I am with my brother and sister. Leslie told me that she rarely went home after school, and what she meant by this was that she was extremely involved in her community. She was especially involved in one organization called Do More for Good, and this organization put together care packages for the homeless. Leslie also told me that she is the only girl in her family. So while she defines herself as a girly girl, people often don't see her that way. But I got to check out her Instagram account at @SincerelyLes, which really portrayed who she really is, and I got a whole new perspective on her. Leslie applied to UCLA on a whim. Her brother had gone to Cal State Long Beach, so she grew up looking up to him and assuming that that was where she would go. But she is not only the only girl in her family, but she is also the only person in her family to get into UCLA. So while she was extremely excited, she faced the dilemma of dream come true and long-term plan, but when she saw how proud her family was of her, she made the decision way more easily, and now she's here with us today at UCLA. So the present Leslie that we all have the pleasure of knowing is pursuing a communications degree. She defines her time here as a way that she wants to make her community back home proud. It's really important to her that she can go back and share with them everything that she took advantage of while she was here in these 4 years. Now I'm going to tell you about Leslie's future. And like any first year in college, Leslie's future is quite undefined because who knows what we want to do with our lives. In the short term, Leslie wants to do an internship at Disneyland. She could either do it at Anaheim or in Florida. And while she would love to go to Florida, she's a little apprehensive because she's never been that far away from home before. She would also love to study abroad in Spain. But talking long term, Leslie wants to be happy, and she's open to having different interpretations of happiness through different stages of her life. And she also wants to be financially stable and have a family. And for her family, like most of our parents feel about us, she wants to provide more for her kids than her parents gave to her. Not that she resents her family life at all. Her eyes actually lit up telling me about how much she loves her family and where she came from. But she just wants more for her children. So now that I've told you about my study buddies, past, present, and future, I hope that you all can find motivation in your past to determine your motivations for your own future. I personally love getting to know my study buddy and saw a whole new perspective on her, and I hope you all feel the same way now too.
Thank you. Okay, where are we? Here.
You did a really, really
Say
good
your
job.
name, please.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
Hi,
And
Michelle.
yeah, you seem really confident in your place. The only thing is, I think you were trying to remember your speech sometimes, so you look up, but you know, you did really good.
Thank you.
Did well, yeah. Sometimes the memory got ahead of where she was. Is that what you were saying? So she was. You could tell she was looking for the words.
My name is Andra.
Right.
It was a very good speech. I really liked it. It was very fluent and it was very nicely done, except it was a little bit too fast for me sometimes to follow. So that's all.
Yeah. That's a good point. We'll look to see, Jordan, vocal variety. Faster, slower, higher, lower. You know, so you're a little more interesting to listen to. The quick pace may have been a little bit out of nervousness. I'm not sure. But it was a good speech. It was very fluid and well done, and you covered the bases nicely. I was looking for, and we'll talk about this because you did kind of a nice job of it, but in a really unique way. You know, I ask all of you to tell stories of your study buddy and not just facts alone, and try to work in some stories. And so I appreciate the way you tried to work in the stuff about San Salvador and this do more for good and working and that sort of thing, and looking at her Facebook group. I thought those were good touches of really personalizing her and talking about the Cal State Long Beach UCLA connection. So I thought that was well done, a combo between stories and facts. We don't want to get all facts because then it's boring, see? On the present, we got that she grew up in South Central, and she wants to go back and make her community proud, and she wants to pursue a communications degree and never forget the journey that got her here. Would have liked if we had a story or something in the present that's something interesting that's happened to her. That would have been good to stick it in there, okay? The future is harder to tell stories about, but I like the thing about Disneyland, either in Anaheim or Florida and Spain. So you covered the globe for Leslie, really, and so that was good. I think one thing I want you to do next time. I love your bullet points, but put the Roman numerals in for your outline. This will help you remember and say the words. So, your significant statement. I know you're really going to enjoy meeting my study buddy because she's a great lady. In summary, I've told you. In conclusion, to tie back to where I started. So you started with the goals, and so I wanted to hear something about, I hope I've achieved my goal of introducing a really wonderful person, somebody that you would really like to know, but the tie back to the goals would have given us the sense of coming the full circle, see? But really, good job, very fluent. I appreciate the hard work that you put into this to prepare it. It showed. Thank you. Okay, let me adjust the camera. Okay, we're rolling.
Hi, my name is Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
So I had never met someone who has traveled to 67 countries and all 7 continents until now. For someone who loves to travel like I do, I found this actually quite fascinating. Today I will tell you about my study buddy. I will tell you 3 stories, her past, her present, and her future. I think you guys will all enjoy meeting her because her life is an interesting one and it shows the warrior that's within her. So a little background information before I get started. She is the baby of her family and she has an older sister that's 20 months older than her and a brother that's 20 months older than her sister. So they're all close in age and close in heart. She comes from a rural town in New Jersey that's 20 minutes away from the beach and 45 minutes away from New York, which she visited quite frequently. So now, her past. On September 11th, 2001, she was at her dance class. She saw her teacher react to the horrors of that happened that day. Her teacher's husband worked at the World Trade Center, so we can all just imagine the pain that she was going through in that moment. She witnessed her teacher fall alongside the towers. Being the little 3-year-old that she was, her parents never thought about explaining what had happened that day. So that event, it brought out a deep down anxiety within her, which later resurfaced. She had to go see a therapist because she was so terrified of going to school and that her mom was not going to pick her up at the end of the day. In the 3rd grade, she had to be homeschooled because she was terrified of getting out of the car. Her biggest challenge was overcoming this, but she did. And now she's here. She's across the country. She's here at UCLA. So even though this really affected her, she still had a happy childhood. All through middle school, she played soccer. When she got to high school, she became a cheerleader, which actually broke her dad's heart. She attended a Catholic high school, even though she's actually Jewish. And like I mentioned before, she has traveled a lot. She has even been to Antarctica in a cruise. I think that's actually really, really cool. So her and her family, they just love traveling. They like meeting new people and new cultures, and they just like doing touristy things. Her favorite places have actually been Australia and South Africa. Her dad is actually from South Africa, so it was interesting for her to see where her dad grew up and where he was raised. Now, the present. She is a first year. She's pre-communications. She moved from New Jersey to LA because she was tired of the cold, and we all know LA has amazing weather. She likes to work out, so she likes how people here enjoy taking care of their bodies and live the healthy lifestyle. So a little fun fact, she likes avocados. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, and she just recently joined a sorority, Kappa Kappa Gamma. She enjoys meeting new people, and she's very excited to get to know all the clubs here on campus. She, sorry, I lost my train of thought. She didn't know a lot of people when she moved here. She didn't know anyone, actually. So everyone that she knows, they're all new friends. Her parents are very understanding and chill, so any stress that she has inflicted upon herself. She has yet to get homesick because she's been very busy, but she believes she will be homesick very soon. And one more fun fact, her birthday is actually this week. It's on October 8th. She will be turning 18, so make sure to wish her a happy birthday.
All right.
And now for the future. She believes that success is definable with time. She hopes to achieve different aspects of success. She wants a family, a husband, and kids. She wants to travel a lot more so she can discover who she is. She wants to become an entertainment lawyer, which I found pretty interesting. I had never heard that before. But that requires law school, and she doesn't want to think about that just yet. So, yeah, in summary, I have told you about my study buddy's past, her present, and her future. I think her story is a very interesting one. You know, the past has taught her to empathize with others. Her ability to overcome difficult situations is what has gotten her to the present. And I know that the warrior within her, her ability to fight, is what's going to make sure she succeeds in life. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. We're somewhere back here.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy.
Hi,
Do I talk
Jeremy.
about both of them?
No, just what did you like about her speech?
So I thought you were a likable speaker. You got lost in between, but you got back on track. So that's good.
Very likable speaker, that's true, yes. Very likable. Prove it.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
I felt that like sometimes you were looking more at her than like the front of the room. And also, it was like a really good speech, but I kind of got lost a little in the beginning. But you like picked it up afterwards and like made everything come together.
Okay. Good. Thank you for that. Leslie, let's talk first about your eye contact. Let's practice a little eye contact. Let's come over here. We want to have 5 seconds to take a few steps this way. I want you. Can you turn your hat around or take it off or something? Yeah, thank you. So she can see your eyes and your face. And I want you to start by telling us about your morning. And I'm going to pound when it's 5 seconds. But if you blink, I'll start the clock over again. So it needs to be 5 seconds of sustained eye contact where you don't blink.
Okay.
And then you go on to the next person and the next person. Okay, so let's practice talking and making long eye contact. So begin. Stay in the power stance while you do it. Yeah.
So today I woke. Oh my God, perfect. I woke up today with my. I live in River Vista, so my.
Every time. By the way, just so far you went like that, River
Yeah.
Vista. I start the clock over when you do that. So just look at her eyes and try to stay focused on strong connection. Yeah.
So I live in River Vista, so we have a shared bathroom. So I woke up at 8 with my roommates screaming because I heard her yelling, wake up. So I woke up, my alarm wasn't going to ring until 10, so I was actually pretty surprised. I was like, what's going on?
You're right here.
Oh, I was like, okay, and they were screaming, wake up, so I got scared. I was like, what's going on? Why? It's 8, why are they screaming? Turns out that my roommate had to go to her class, so her other roommate woke her up. So I was pretty surprised. I was like, what's going on? I tried to go back to sleep, but it was kind of hard. Once I wake up, it's very hard to get back up again. But I did go back to sleep, and I woke up around 10, and I ate breakfast, and I was just thinking. Yeah.
Did you feel the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're looking for, Leslie, is that kind of sustained eye contact all around the room. I'd like to see you walk 3 times on past, present, and future so that you move a little, and that'll help you relax. You started with an arresting fact, 67 countries, and emphasize that with your voice. Wow, that's a lot of traveling, 7 continents. And you also mentioned the soldier, and you chose to tie back to the soldier, and that was a sort of an interesting yet obscure reference that we got that you tied back to, and that was okay. On the past, I thought it was your story about her experiencing the World Trade Center and having a trauma over it and seeking therapy was a good story, well told, and told us a lot, you know, about your study buddy, and you led with it, and so, you know, that was good. You started right out with telling us that Jordan had this, you know, issue, and that was good. I love the irony of going to a Catholic high school even though she's Jewish. That was pretty funny. Then you ended with more travel on Antarctica, but the past was, you know, a couple of good stories in there, which is what I wanted to have you do. So that's what I was after. You needed to, this is sort of what some of the students in the class were concerned about, was you needed to have more of a narrative with your voice so we knew where you were. So now that I told you about our past, let me go on to the present, see, and highlight that, where we are in your speech, see. Pre-communication major loves avocados, so do I. Kappa Kappa Gamma, homesick, this sort of thing, and you sort of had a lot of more facts than a story here, but it still was pretty interesting. You wove it all together. The future was pretty traditional. Entertainment lawyer you'd never heard of. They're out there, especially here in Los Angeles. You know, everyone has their lawyer. The summary, and by the way, when you do this outline next time, put in the Roman numerals, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and put in intro.